What's up everybody, Gaskin here to talk you through what happened in day 1 of the group stages of the PAX Arena VALORANT Invitational. The group stages consist of 4 groups of 5, whereby the top 2 will progress into the playoffs. And we kick things off with Group A, the closest group out of all of yesterday's action. It is worth noting that the 3 teams tied, the tiebreakers have not yet been taken into account with these standings. TSM do top the group with a 2-0 match record, taking down Built by Gamers, but they did drop a map to Homeless. And it had us wondering, how Homeless would then fare against the rest of the group? Well, it turns out, Homeless might be the surprise of the tournament. They took down 100 Thieves 2-1 in our first upset, and what could prove to be a vital result. As we move over to Group B, we see T1 with the biggest round difference out of any team in the tournament, plus 37, only dropping 15 rounds across 4 maps in their wins against Echo 8 and Way Too French. Team Envy, who also asserted their dominance with comfortable victories over Team Kefri and Echo 8. And then we have Way Too French, who are probably T1 and Envy's closest competition for that top 2 spot at 1-1. But they'll need a victory against Envy today to have any realistic chance of progression. Both Team Kefri and Echo 8 are struggling at 0 and 2 in the group, and are unlikely to progress without a drastic drop-off from either T1 or Envy. Similarly to Group B, Group C has the favourites performing as expected. Immortals and Gen G both find themselves 1 match victory away from the playoffs, but they of course still need to face each other. Whilst Prospects did put up a good fight against Gen G in one of the closer games of Group C, they went on to lose 13-11 and 13-10, and will now need to beat Immortals today to give themselves a real opportunity to get out of this group. Mix-Up will need results elsewhere to go their way to rescue their 0 and 2 start to the group, whereas Team Mango unfortunately never got going, only picking up 11 rounds on the scoreboard across 63 played. Finally, our last group, and arguably the group of death, Group D, had Sentinels and Cloud9 coming out on top after the initial matches. Renegades were able to find themselves a map off of Cloud9 with a 13-4 landslide on Split, but losing the series meant they find themselves just short of the top 2, still with Sentinels to play today. Things don't look particularly good for Complexity at 0 and 2, but they have had the tough task of facing both C9 and Sentinels on day 1, and today they'll be looking to try and rescue some results in their remaining fixtures. So we still have plenty of matches to come here in this tournament. I'm personally so excited to see TSM versus 100 Thieves and to see whether Homeless can still shake up that group. Elsewhere in the other groups, we've got all the big matches coming up, like T1 versus Envy, Immortals versus Gen G, and Sentinels versus Cloud9. And now if there's one thing I can promise you, we're going to have 8 incredible teams going into playoffs.
What's up everybody, it's Puckett, and today I'm joined by Tens from Cloud9. Yes, that guy who should be cheating, but he's not. It's just natural aim, I guess. Tens, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us for an interview after playing your groups all night long. Let's talk about your groups. This is the PAX Arena VALORANT Invitational, and you're matching up here in Group D. Renegade, Sentinels, Complexity, and Team Owl coming into the day. Who did you think was going to be the toughest teams to face off against?
So from us, we didn't really know what to expect from Complexity or Renegades. We kind of know what to expect from Sentinels, and then I'm not too sure any of us know the OWL team, but we felt like we got a pretty good group for our favor.
And last time around, we saw you in the Ignition Series. Unfortunately, you fell to Together We Are Terrific. They're now Envy. What have you learned since that last group stage performance, and what have you guys been working on up till now?
So it's just a lot of getting the reps in with our like 5. I'd say we were swapping around 5th for a long time, and like now that we've kind of just settled on like Vice, it's been pretty well. Like our chemistry is just getting a lot better, and we're working better together.
Tell me a little bit about Vice, because Golden Boy pointed that out. You've been switched around to 5th. Vice seems to be the mainstay, at least for now. What does he bring to the table?
So Vice is really communicative, and he acts as like a second voice on the team with like Skylar, and then obviously Shinobi's the main voice of the team. But yeah, he's just really communicative, and he can play really well. He's very like dedicated to learn like how to play his like position the best way possible. So that's pretty cool.
Can we talk about you though? Because I was listening to your stream tonight and you had everyone else muted, and it feels like I could follow the game just from your voice. You also are constantly chiming in. What are your calls? What are you telling to your team when you're in the middle of the game? What is your role on this squad?
So I don't know. I'm kind of like a wild card player, so I'll just have a feeling on what to do something, and I'll take over the call for a round, or like I'll just get really aggressive most of the part when I feel like I can do something, and my goal is just kind of to catch enemies off guard.
Well, it's working. And I think my favorite part of your gameplay is if you get one kill, you're going to turn it into two. Almost every time we're watching you, I feel like multi-kills are showing up. The only way to stop tens is to take them out early in the round. But let's talk about the future tens, because we've seen a lot of Jet. We've seen a lot of Raze. Is Viper coming back after these new patch notes coming out saying that she's got all kinds of buffs to her kit?
So I forget what team ran a Viper against us, but I tried like peeking into her ult, and I thought it was pretty nuts. But yeah, I was actually planning on picking up Viper, just because my playstyle is kind of whatever. Like I op, I rifle, I shotgun, but I can entry, I bait, I lurk sometimes, but not really as much. And so I think it's good to pick up Viper, because most teams actually don't know how to play against a Viper properly. And unless the teams get running a Sova, then the Viper's kind of, she has like free reign upon everyone.
I love it. I love it. Well, Tens, I know you've had a long day. I'm going to keep this one short, but are you ready for something special? I've been doing this since the Halo 2 days. It's called the Puckett Speed Round. I'm going to give you two options. You have to pick the winner or answer as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. It's Puckett Speed Round number one. Monster or Red Bull?
Red Bull.
Phantom or Vandal?
Phantom.
Operator or Judge?
Operator.
Jet or Raze?
Jet.
Favorite person to play with?
Oof, man, that's hard. Everyone on my team.
Top of your head, top of your head, quick.
Shinobi.
Best agent in the game?
Sova, by far.
Best ultimate?
Jet daggers.
Best map?
Ascent.
Most importantly, best skin?
The Oni skins.
There we go. Tens, what are the predictions? What are the expectations for the rest of the tournament? You are now 2-0 after edging out Renegades. It got messy there in the middle on split, but Bind was definitely in your favor. Tomorrow, you match up against the Sentinels to kick off the day. What are your thoughts going in?
I feel like we're feeling pretty confident, and we know like what we did wrong in the Renegades game, especially. So we're gonna work towards that for tomorrow. Like warm up in the morning, and just be prepared for our matches.
Is this the final Cloud9 roster?
Who knows?
I had to ask. I had to ask. Tens, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in the second day of groups. We're all looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Effies, for coming to talk to me. First of all, congratulations on the successful group stage so far.
Thank you.
I don't think have you dropped even a map yet at this stage?
Yeah, we did. Sadly, we did. Yeah.
Okay, so you're almost perfect record. You're now headed into another matchup with Immortals, a team that you guys have faced off with a couple of times. I think you're kind of at the same. It's always an interesting matchup between you guys. What are you looking forward to in this next matchup with Immortals, and what have you learned from them so far?
I'm kind of looking forward to just play them more, because we haven't played them in a while, even in scrims. So we are kind of. I know they brought back. They like left one player. They cut one player, I think, and they then brought him back.
And then brought him back.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward. Like I think he's playing different agents now, so I think they're gonna be like they're gonna have a different play style. So I think they have the edge on knowing like how we play more than how they play, because we've played I think more maps than them with our like current lineup than them. So I'm looking forward to see what they do, and we might have to switch things up on our end a little bit too.
What was your mentality like coming out of Nerd Street Gamers and coming into, and what is the contrast, I should say, between that tournament and this tournament?
Well, the Nerd Street Gamers thing is a bit of a. I mean, yes, the results weren't there, but at the same time, we did play like two of the hardest teams for us, Sentinels and T1. That's the only teams that we lost to. So I mean, the results might not have been great, but at the same time, we knew that it's like these are teams that we have trouble beating, even in practice, like even in scrims. So we knew that these were two tough opponents. So the only thing that really did is like, all right, we need to figure out a way to beat them. Because we're do fine against any team. Like we could do fine versus 3-9, we do fine versus TSM. TSM is always a close matchup. We do fine versus Immortals. Like we do fine versus other pro teams, but these two teams in particular are really rough for us. Sentinel is like the most spuggy team like you can imagine, and T1 is just like so skilled that it's like you need to have a perfect game to beat them. So like the only thing we worked on between Ender 3 Gamers and Pulse is just like figuring out these two teams out. T1 wasn't in the Pulse and the Pulse one, but Sentinels was, and our preparation kind of showed. I mean, the fact that we beat them.
Right.
But aside from that, I think that's the only thing that we changed, because the other teams, like I said, we know we can beat C9, we know we can beat TSM, we know we can beat Erno. These are the two teams that are troublesome for us. It's a bit unlucky that we played them both.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, group stages or rather, there's sometimes you get a bad group stage or a tough group or whatever,
Yeah.
and that can really affect you. I mean, it even happened recently to TSM dropping that round to Cloud9, and then it really just hampered the turn, and that was it. You know, it's just one of those things that happens to you sometimes.
Yeah,
So-
it can't always be on point. Perfect games, right?
Yeah, and that's just it. So let's talk a bit. You said you're not really afraid of any of these teams. You have feelings that you can beat pretty much anyone, which I would expect you to have as a professional player. But who is the team that you are at least not least prepared for? But who is the team that like you have Mango coming up? Let's talk about Mango. I mean, this is a guy who's a gamer. You know, he's not necessarily a top level FPS guy. And I guess I have to ask the interview question: are you worried at all about Mango's team?
I don't even know who's on their team, so no,
Okay,
not really.
all right.
But I mean, it's
Yeah.
a team game. It's a very, very like team-oriented game, and I think they're a pug kind of. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a bloodbath. I'll respect to Mango. Okay, shout out to Mango, but you know,
it's a team game, and they're going to be as a pug versus a team. We can't expect like maybe they're good. I don't know, but like we can't expect them to be like insanely prepared for this.
Okay, so normally I'll say, well, what's your goal for the tournament? You're gonna say, well, of course, to win. So what is a result that what are you trying to learn from this tournament? What are you going to take away that even if you, of course, win the tournament, which I'm sure you will, what are you trying to learn from this tournament? What are you trying to like? Who's the team you're trying to get the most intel on?
Probably T1 and TSM. T1 and TSM are the two teams that I would 100% consider, no matter what happened this tournament. I think I would still consider them to be our two toughest opponents, and like if I was to say a top three, I assume they would both be in there. Would probably be third or like around that. And I mean, if these are two teams that are considered like to be as good as us or even better, I feel like these are the two teams that we need to learn from. Like these guys are pro gamers. We're like we haven't, like I've said before, all of us have never been pro gamers before. Like it's pretty new to us. So there's a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of ways like how do they practice, how do they improve, how like what do they look at, what do they do good that we don't. So these are the two teams that I think I look up to the most.
Okay, well, you know what, I know that you guys are going to do really, really well, and I have to leave with you as a traditional one Canadian to another, the old French goodbye, je suis un pomme. So thank you so much, my friend, and thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Okay.
All right, thank you, have a good one.
All right.
Bye.